What's up, guys? I'm LQ. This is the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me here at my YouTube channel. This is where I talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that I love to talk about. Movies, video games, comic books, and TV shows. And right now I'd like to give you guys my thoughts on Expedition Bigfoot Season 2, Episode 1. Now, for those who have not seen the first season of Expedition Bigfoot, turn this video off, go watch Season 1 of Expedition Bigfoot. It is probably the best Bigfoot hunting show out there. And the reason for that is because they take a very data-driven, scientific look at looking for this cryptid creature, and they're not, I've never felt once in the show that they are heightening things or creating situations that are not genuine just for the viewer's experience. And what I like about it is most episodes, or most shows like this, they'll do one expedition per episode. So this episode we're looking for the Grassman. This episode we're looking for the Jersey Devil. This episode we're looking for Champ. And they'll do an entire expedition over the course of a 42-minute episode. Where in this show, they're doing the entire expedition over 8 one-hour episodes. And for that reason, it felt much more plausible that the evidence that they were finding, that they were actually finding without any kind of outside interference or setup, because they're literally spending weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks out there on location looking for this creature. Because the reality is that being on location looking for a creature like this, the vast majority of the time you're out there, you're not finding anything. What we see in the show is the stuff that they do find. And what lends this show a lot of credibility is the cast itself, the hosts. Now, yes, there are some Bigfoot researchers who are on the host team. So this is an expedition team, and they do have some Bigfoot researchers on there. But they also have some people that definitely lend credibility to the show. Most notably, you've got Bryce Johnson, who is a he's not a skeptic. He believes in Bigfoot, but he's trying to find Bigfoot through data-driven, research, where we're not just taking, we're not just scrutinizing pictures, we're not just going around and talking to witnesses, but we're using all the witnesses and all the sightings and everything that's been reported, and we're actually creating a algorithm that allows us to predict where these sightings are going to occur next, and that's where we're going to be. And because of that, it's very interesting. And also, they have Dr. Miriam Mayer on there, who is a real scientist, who's also a skeptic, who's somebody who has spent years out in the field with primates, gorillas, apes, who has actually discovered new species of primates. She herself has discovered new species of primates. I believe it was in Africa. So she is an expert in the field of primates and discovering new animals. We also have guest stars on here. Like we had one of the last season, they had one of the foremost experts in what's the word I'm looking for? One of the foremost experts in primates, who was actually able to identify a heat signature and say, yeah, that heat signature looks like it's an ape in Oregon. so they get real experts on the show, and not just Bigfoot enthusiasts named Bobo. They get real people who know what they're talking about, who really want to find the truth behind it, and aren't so much interested. They're interested in the mythology, but only interested in the mythology because it might help them find the truth. Because of that, I really like this show. It just seems to be taking a very science-based approach towards finding out what is going on behind all these Bigfoot sightings, because every year there's thousands of sightings in the United States alone. So they're trying to figure out the why. And the first season, they actually got some compelling evidence. It's one of those shows where I'm like, wow, Do I believe Bigfoot exists? No, I don't really believe Bigfoot exists. But out of all the cryptids out there, Bigfoot, Jersey Devil, you know, the Champ, Loch Ness Monster, you know, out of all those cryptids out there, Chupacabra, out of all of them, Bigfoot is the one that I think is most plausible. I think it's the most plausible because it is so ingrained in like Native American lore, and there's even fossil records that indicate that a creature like this could exist. So I think it's plausible, but I still don't believe it until I see it. But that's why I enjoy the Bigfoot show so much, is because I think that out of all the cryptids out there, this is the one they have the best chance at actually finding. So season 2 opens up, and it's called, the first episode was called New Evidence. And in this episode, they kind of recap season 1 a little bit, and they talk about, you know, well, season 1 was in Oregon, where we had, you know, very remote chances of running into bears, and we had, you know, this kind of search that we did in the forest, the dense forest of Oregon. They even talk about the cave that they explored. And in this one, they talk about the fact that they're going to go to the Appalachian Trail this time, and how there's a very high probability, unlike in Oregon, where there's a low probability of running into a bear. In the Appalachian Trail, there's a high probability that they're going to run into a bear, and how they're going to manage that, and how that in of itself will play into their Bigfoot investigation. And they go into a conversation with a man who has a recording of a Bigfoot yell in his backyard. Somebody who lives on in the Appalachian Mountains, and the recording of itself wasn't very compelling. You know, it could have been coyote. There's a lot of things it could have been, but this was their starting point. It was talking to this guy and then trying to understand the lay of the land based on conversations that they're having with this guy. This was very much an introductory episode. They're just now starting the expedition. They had to set up camp. They have to set up camp in a way that you know, we're on a game trail. We're probably going to run into bear, and how are they going to handle that situation? So again, this was an introductory episode, but at the same time, it definitely sets up possibility for them to have a lot of encounters with wildlife. I'm not going to say Bigfoot, but they are going to have encounters with wildlife out there, and it will be entertaining. And I am looking forward to seeing where this season takes us. The whole team from the season 1 is back. Again, my favorite is definitely Dr. Mayer. You know, she's the one that most knows her stuff and most understands the concepts and behind finding a new species, and what it takes to prove that. You know, just finding a hair isn't enough. Just finding a nest isn't enough. Just finding a footprint isn't enough. But she talked about that in season 1, how finding hair, finding footprints, finding nest, hearing howls, getting heat signatures, it all can create a case. But until you actually have it on video, or have a picture of it, or have a body or something, it's all theoretical. So I really appreciate the approach that she takes. You know, some of the other guys like RPG, some of the Bigfoot enthusiasts, you know, they see a footprint in the mud that could have been a bear footprint, and they're like, this is definitely Bigfoot. You know, I get it. There's a lot of excitement when you're out there on the expedition, but she's kind of my compass onto should I be excited or not. So Expedition Bigfoot has been very good. Season 1 was very good, and definitely excited about seeing where season 2 takes us. So that being said, what did you think of the first episode of season 2 of Expedition Bigfoot? Let me know in the comments down below. While you're down there, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and as always, thank you so much for joining me right here at the LQ Review, where we get to talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. Until next time, we'll see you guys later.